Providers get into healthcare because they want to help patients, not in dealing with bureaucracy and administrative activities. I'm very much interested in how can we take that burden off them so that providers can focus the most of their time and energy on helping patients. I'm Brandon Welch. I'm the founder and CEO of Doxy.me. So telehealth essentially is a way for healthcare providers to see their patients by video, but it could also be through technology, asynchronous communication, or whatever. But it's a way of providing care to patients remotely or who are at a different place from where the healthcare provider is. There are many areas where telehealth can solve problems in healthcare. One of the biggest is access, providing access to providers. It's not always easy for patients to get in person to see their provider. And oftentimes what happens is that patients just don't get healthcare at all, which isn't good. They're not getting the care that they need. And so telehealth has opened up opportunities for care to reach the most vulnerable populations. This goes back to when I was doing my PhD work at the University of Utah, and I was working on a study where we needed to provide prenatal care to pregnant moms. In Utah, there's a lot of moms who live far distances from the provider, and it didn't make sense for them to come in person to every single prenatal care visit. So how can we make this more convenient and more accessible to patients so they don't have to come in and drive and park and find babysitting and take time off work? And so we started to explore ways of doing this. We looked at telehealth as a very new and nascent field. Not many people were doing it, but we said, this would actually work very well in this use case. And as I was looking for HIPAA-compliant telehealth solutions, the only options that were available were complicated and expensive, often requiring dedicated hardware setups that were just not feasible. We're not going to have a $2,000, $3,000 hardware setup in a patient's home for 1 or 2 visits a month. It just didn't make sense. I remember thinking, where are the simple and free HIPAA-compliant options? When we first started Doxy.me, it was very much a simple problem that we had that we wanted a simple solution to solve. If telehealth is really going to be adopted widely, it can't complicate the user experience. It's got to simplify it. And that's what we very much focus on is how do we take this telehealth experience or this remote care experience and how do we make it as simple as possible for the provider and the patient? It's not just slapping video onto an electronic health record or a current workflow. It's really understanding where's the provider at, where's the patient at, how do we connect them, and how do we do it in such a simple way that it doesn't feel like they're even using technology at all. It's just natural and it mimics what they're already familiar with in that clinical in-person workflow. The ideal telehealth experience is one that the clinician-patient forget that they're having a telehealth call. What we try to do with Doxy.me is mimic that in-person experience as closely as possible. A patient will come, they'll enter their name, they'll check into a waiting room, and the provider will be notified that the patient has checked in, and when the provider's ready, they will start the call with that patient. And so they don't have to learn a whole new working model. It's just like, oh, I recognize a waiting room, I recognize check-in, I recognize a patient queue. So it's easy for a clinician to bounce between an in-person visit and then a telehealth visit on Doxy.me, and then back to an in-person visit because that workflow matches so closely. Anything we add to the user experience that adds another step or another click or another burden or something that the provider patient has to enter in is another area where it can be complicated. So we try to simplify that and remove as much of that as possible. It's got to be as simple as you click a link and the software and the provider takes care of the rest, and that's what Doxy.me provides. Doing a video call behind the scenes is actually a pretty complicated thing, and so we spend a lot of time looking at what device a patient has. Let's get it connected and make sure that the video is working, that the audio is working, the sound is working, so that providers don't have to be troubleshooting with their patients. One of the unique aspects of Doxy.me is that we're purpose-built for healthcare. That's the only thing we do. So because of that, it allows us to get hyper-focused on the features that clinicians care about most, that are most important to them. We're able to do those things very, very well. We're not trying to serve multiple industries, each with their own unique needs. We're able to create the ideal workflow and have the ideal features that are ideally suited for clinicians and patients. Our primary driver and focus on what we do and what we focus on and what we prioritize is ultimately driven by the healthcare provider and the patients. But the part that I'm really excited about as we really focus in on the clinical experience are the ability to start using apps within Doxy.me. And this is an example where telehealth is moving beyond just video, a way of enhancing that clinical session through telehealth. What else can I do on a video visit that enhances my clinical care experience? Because Doxy.me is simple yet adaptable, you get a lot of different specialties using Doxy.me and using it in their own ways. And so you see therapists, behavioral counselors using it to provide care to their patients. You see surgeons using it to do pre-op and post-op care. You see primary care providers and pediatricians using it to do check-ins with their patient. The healthcare world is changing, and in order to stay up with the times, we have to change with those times as well. And telehealth is very much at the center of that, enabling new ways for patients to connect with care. And Doxy.me is that foundational technology that's enabling this change in healthcare.